Welcome to a Saturday edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, and Hudco Roofing, hudcoroofing.com. Very glad to have you aboard with us here, back at home, a couple days out and about. Morning Scone at the office, or yesterday, brief Morning Scone as I was jetting back from, hang on one second, YouTube, one second. Okay, there we go. Do not disturb. Didn't want to get yelled at if I got a call come through. Yesterday, did a quick episode from Restored Motions with Crystal Poche. Had a great session. Get me realigned, get me pain-free. So if you live with pain, go see Crystal Poche at Restored Motions, or you know someone who does. Gift card. So we found out that on Friday, formally, that Mickey Joseph will not be back. He has taken the job. Formally, now we know. He has been introduced at Nebraska, wide receivers coach, associate head coach. I was told he got about $100,000 raise. He said he was told he would be evaluated with the rest of the staff after the bowl game, and felt like he couldn't wait. He had a bird in hand, and Nebraska offered him a job, a little more money, and he didn't want to wait, so he took the job at Nebraska. So that's a big, it's a big hole on LSU staff, mostly because of recruiting New Orleans. I mean, you've got to find somebody with deep ties to New Orleans to recruit that area. You just have to. So we'll see what direction that he goes. Maybe Terry Joseph, Mickey's cousin. Terry Joseph was on Brian Kelly's staff at Notre Dame, left for the University of Texas. Maybe you can get him to LSU this year. Certainly things didn't go great year one in Austin there with Sark. Maybe you can get Terry Joseph back home. So that's one to keep an eye on. And then we did learn Friday night as well that Tommy Moffitt will not be retained. Candidly, I was told this earlier in the day, that Moffitt wasn't going to be retained. And honestly, I think there might be a little bit of a mutual agreement there. 20 years at one place is a long time, man. Tommy Moffitt was hired when Nick Saban came. So 2000 was his first season. And to last the 3 coaching tenures is kind of remarkable. That just doesn't really happen much in football and coaching. Coaches bring in their own guys. So, to be hired by Saban and then to last more than a decade with Miles and then through Ogeron, it's impressive and speaks to how good Tommy Moffitt is, not only at what he does, but how he has remained relevant and kept up with the times and changing times with strength and training, and his players love him, man. I mean, you've heard players talk about him. They love him. So, heck of a run for Tommy Moffitt at LSU. His love and dedication toward LSU is something that everybody should appreciate him for. But probably just time, And I'm not 100% certain that this was a Brian Kelly decision. There were whispers even over the summer before the season, that this might be Moffitt's last year at LSU, and if he even wants to be into the daily grind of being a college strength and conditioning coach, I don't know. So we'll see what the future holds. So let's say some good mornings. Brandon Brazel, you think you can break your streak and get Coach Kelly on AFR? We'll see, man. I don't know if he does media, but I will do my best. But yeah, Les, when he was the coach, never came on AFR. Les really didn't do radio ever. And then we know Ogeron, but yeah, see if we can break the streak. Mickey Gravois, what's up? Brandon Atchison, sucks to see Moffitt go. People need to realize it's Kelly's team. He's going to hire people he wants, not who Pete Carroll and Joe Brady want. Joseph Dupree, good morning. Happy game day. Go Jays. Any concern about Brian Kelly not having a staff? Oh, sorry, these are going pretty fast. I missed that one. I'm not sure what that was, what that comment was. I'm sorry. Let's see. Hey, Dad. Good morning. Bubba Tatum. Good morning, Bubba. Your comment just scrolled before I could read the whole thing. So apologies, but I think what I read there was that you were in Morgan City. Said saying goodbye to your mom today. So if I read that correctly, sincere condolences from me and all the morning Sconers, man. If I did not read that correctly, my apologies. Let's see, Akeem Williams. Long Tam Win, good morning. UCBO, what's good? Be sure to shout extra loud. Those Blue Jays don't raise a trophy tonight. Unfortunately, the Satyrs couldn't take care of business last week. Yeah, man, so tonight, Catholic Jesuit from Ullman down at Tulane. I'll be there. I actually get to be a chauffeur as well. My niece, who's a freshman at the academy, she and a couple of her friends are going down. So I get to chauffeur the trio of academy freshmen. So I got to be on my best behavior. No nightcap with Scone language. Clint, I'm here for the heel turn for LSU. Screw the media. You talk about everybody who's you talking about everybody who's talking about Brian Kelly with the family, how he said family. Yeah, it certainly seems like Lincoln Riley isn't getting that kind of pushback. And I tend to try to check myself when stories like that pop up because I want to make sure that I'm not just giving a homer perspective, right? Like, oh, why are they picking on my school type thing? Like, I always try to step back and make an assess to make sure I'm not reading it wrong. But the other high profile hires here, not really seeing pushback with Florida and Napier, who left, by the way, before his team is coaching. He's coaching his team today in the conference championship game. Lincoln Riley, obviously, his team lost, so they're not in a conference championship game. And Notre Dame's not playing today either. So I'm going to tell y'all, the national pushback there is weird. And how people keep, throwing out culture. That seems to only be an issue for people outside of here. And maybe because the last 5 years, it was Ed Ogeron who was from here and all that stuff, but before that, nobody was from here. I mean, Les Miles wasn't from here. He was a Michigan guy. Nick Saban was a Midwestern guy. I mean, whatever. It's like Dale Brown was from Minot, North Dakota. Skip Bertman was born in Detroit and grew up in Miami. I mean, you just win. All right, let's see. Jump here into YouTube. YouTube, do me a favor, smash that like button. Appreciate y'all very much. Facebook, like the page, share the post, like the page, share the post. Tim Gotro, Rob Gosnell, good morning. Randall Offrecht, good morning. Just joining, what did I miss? Not much, we're just getting cranked up here. Brian Cusick, good morning. Marcus Washington, Merrick Mathern. Is Kelly bringing strength and conditioning coach with him? He is not. So Notre Dame announced Marcus Freeman staying as head coach. Tommy Rees staying as OC. And I think all the coaches that Brian Kelly wanted to bring elected to say one of them being the strength and conditioning coach. So he'll have to go hire someone new. And we'll just have to learn a new staff. The Ghastly Gamer, good morning. Dwayne Boudreaux, good morning. Trivia Carter. Christian, you believe Woodward would pay Dan Mullen to be OC? Sure, Christian. I just don't think that Dan Mullen is going to be the OC. I think Dan Mullen's going to get a head coaching job somewhere. In the same way that Jim McElwain, when he left Florida, got the Central Michigan job. I think Mullen's been a successful enough head coach over a long enough period of time that if he wants to be a head coach, he will be. Adrian Bailey, good morning. Connor O'Neill, boggles my mind Lincoln Riley isn't being held at the same standard Brian Kelly is. His move to USC is being hailed as a great career move by the national media. I'm just kind of ignoring it. See, here's my thing, Connor. I mean, I'm with you, but the people who are like bitching and moaning and screaming and writing about that narrative today, it'll be gone tomorrow, because today you're going to have games, and tomorrow the college football playoff will be set, and that's what everybody's focus is going to be on: the conference championships and the playoff and the bowl destinations. No one's going to be talking about the Brian Kelly move anymore. So, like, they had their run this week. It'll be over after today, and we'll all move on. And there's hoping Brian Kelly wins the championship at LSU. That's why he's here. George Reitmeyer, Kenneth Martin, good morning. Michael Mills, Matt, I can't wait for Mr. Kelly and the boys to roll up on No Chest Riley in a few years. That will be fun. LSU and USC do open the season out in Vegas in 2024. So when Brian Kelly and Lincoln Riley are each in their third seasons at their respective schools, they're going to open up the season against each other. Now, that's assuming Lincoln Riley's still at USC and not in the NFL. Ghastly Gamer, not keeping Moffitt, that's a mistake. Maybe so. And, full disclosure, I mean, I love Tommy Moffitt. He never coached me, obviously. But, known him for a long time. He was always very generous coming on the show. All three of his sons, Clay and Aaron, played, and his youngest son right now was at Catholic. So I've got to know their family. I think the world of them. I really do. I think the world of their whole family. And he's had an amazing run, 20 years at one place. And I'll be interested to see what's next. Both for LSU and for Moffitt. Scott Luminae, Derek still on staff? New. Derek and Ogeron were both out of the building Sunday after the A&M game. Derek was tied to Ogeron. That was it. Danny Braywick, I think Brian Kelly is getting so much crap in the media because those guys grew up in an era where Notre Dame was elite. They can't let that go. Maybe. Irfan Sayad, good morning. Mr. CEO, good morning. What do you think about keeping the special teams coordinator? I feel that's a name that hasn't been brought up, but he's done an exceptional job. Yeah, talking about Greg McMahon, that was a great hire. The funny thing, too, is when Ogeron got the job, so Bradley Dale Pivito was special teams coordinator the year Les got fired, so 2016. And Ed was interim. And if you remember, the last game of the regular season was against A&M in College Station. LSU won it, but there was a situation late in the game where LSU either had to recover an onside kick or something. It was the special teams play with the kickoff late in the game. Maybe A&M was attempting to. Maybe A&M got an onside kick. Anyway, at that point, Ogeron didn't know if he was getting the job. Remember, there was the Herman reports during the game. Post game, obviously there's a lot of media and stuff, and Ogeron, off the record, of course, said, "Man, if I get this job, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call Kelly. Second thing, Ogeron, his wife. Second thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fire that MRFer." Talking about Pivito, and sure enough, Saturday, he gets the job. Sunday, Pivot fired. And so he brought in Greg McMahon. Greg McMahon's done a great job. He really has. What's up, KP? Any candidates? BK's interview for DCOC. So I haven't really heard defensive coordinator names. The OC names I've heard are Jeff Lebby from Ole Miss, Kendall Briles from Arkansas, and Chip Long at Tulane. So Chip Long was with Brian Kelly at Notre Dame. He's now the OC at Tulane. He might make a lot of sense as far as a staff member. Clinton Summers, good morning. I'll tell you one other guy, don't laugh at me, I'm serious, is Gabe Fertitta that you should look at. Gabe Fertitta, of course, coached at Catholic, is on staff at Louisville right now. So he's got Power 5 experience. He's from New Orleans, went to Holy Cross, so knows New Orleans well, knows high school football in Louisiana exceptionally well, is highly respected in the state, and has Power 5 experience now. Like, that's a guy that I would tell you, like, find a role for a guy like that on staff. If it's a on field, if it's an analyst role, like, it's no different than like why you go bring Ogeron hired the D-line coach who had been up at Monroe, blanking. Anyway, like that's the kind of person that you bring on staff that ties up loose ends, that helps you get indoors, that all that sort of stuff. I'm telling you. Look, I see y'all go, no, stop, man. I'm telling y'all, bro. He's a brilliant football coach. He is deeply rooted in the state of Louisiana in high school football. He is respected. I'm telling you. Wouldn't rule that out. Let's see, John K. When Texas and Oklahoma come to the SEC, what are the chances Missouri comes to the West? So, yeah, John, they're not going to have East and West. What I've heard is that they're going to have pods, 4-team pods. So you play your pod every year, and then you play 2 teams in each of the other pods every year on a rotating basis. So every 4 years, you would play everyone twice. So in a 4-year period, every school, every player, if you stay for 4 years, you will play. Everyone will visit your stadium, and you will visit everyone's stadium over a 4-year period. Irfan Sayad, good morning. Should be concerned none of Kelly's coaches followed him. Not really. I mean, Marcus Freeman would have had he not been named head coach. I think that would have created a domino effect, but similar with Ogeron, like, when you elevate an assistant on staff, and that person is familiar with the staff, you're more likely to have some stay. Let's see. Dustin Fontenot, Matt, can you still buy GameCoin the old way? I'm trying to buy a whole mess, but Bitmart sucks and won't verify my account, so I can't buy that. That's interesting. But yeah, you can. Pancake Swap is still absolutely available. It's an incredible price point, too. Like, I never thought it would be this low again. So, I mean, it's almost like hitting reset. It's like giving people the opportunity to buy where they could have 4 months ago. You know what I mean? But we had a great board meeting call yesterday as well. Like, it's so exciting. The development team building out the platform, ambassador athletes, just so much positive stuff going on. Anyway, let's see. Merrick Mathern, what's going on? You must be the cool uncle. I think so. Stuart Boudreau, Bill Gollin, good morning. Piersley, morning, Matt. Would you be shocked to see Oklahoma hire Lane? Follow up, would that hire pull Quinn Ewers to the Sooners? I don't know about Quinn Ewers. I have no idea. You're talking recruiting. That's not my space. I have no idea. And would I be shocked? No, I don't think anything would shock me. Lane's a really good coach and good offensive mind. It would fit. But if Lane leaves Ole Miss, Jeff Levy is going to be the head coach at Ole Miss. Caleb Brignac, seems like the Saints are heading in the absolute worst direction. What do they do this offseason to get back on track? Yeah, man. Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson. You have to look at those three possibilities. And if that's a no-go, then you have to make a decision on Jameis if you want to hitch your wagon there. I mean, look at how the season has fallen apart since Jameis went down. You say what you will, but I mean, you haven't won a game since he got hurt. Or do you go draft? I don't know if there's a quarterback in this draft class that I go, yep, that's the guy. Brian Champagne, you know anything about Corey Raymond? Yeah, LSU defensive backs coach. Yeah, I think Corey's going to stay. I was told weeks ago that they already had a deal worked out with Corey to stay. And Brian Kelly was asked point blank about that in his press conference. He says, I haven't made any decisions on anybody, but I think Corey will be back. Louis Malhoit. When your head coach pisses off Dick Vitale, that's what happens. Oh, about basketball not being ranked. They'll be ranked next week. Rode Ewell, got to go Mike Elko on the defensive side of the ball. Yeah, look, it would be interesting to see if Brian Kelly's able to pull any of his old assistants, right? Now, Elko is making, I think, $2 million at A&M. So he would have to want to leave A&M. He's making $2.1 million. So whatever you would give him to get away from College Station would be a negligible increase, right? If you go from 2.1 to 2.3, is that big of a deal? Probably not. When you start talking about taxes, there's no state income tax in Texas. So, I think it's really, is that the guy that wants to come? I think there are plenty of candidates that you could attract. I think I've mentioned Jim Leonard at Wisconsin. What's Barry Odom making? Barry Odom at Arkansas is making 1.2. So, you could very easily pay Barry Odom $2 million and bring him down from Arkansas. So you got options. Jason Hatchett, with Raymond and Baker out recruiting, safe to say they'll be retained. No, Jason, I don't think that's safe to say, because all the coaches are out recruiting right now. And I don't think they're all going to be retained, but you're working right now. You're being paid by LSU, so you go recruit. Joe Sabatini, Josh Brooks, AD at Georgia was GA for Michelle. Justin Hutchinson, geez, Matt, seriously, GF is an analyst. Contrary to Catholic High alum belief, he's not as respected in the state. Yeah, he is. And I'm not saying bring him on as OC or full-time assistant, but in an analyst role, someone who knows the state, who has ties within the state, knows all the high school coaches in the state, absolutely. I mean, you can have unlimited support staff members. I would, in a heartbeat. Let's see. Alan Van Sel, morning, Scone. Found myself singing the Hudco jingle while standing out front of my boat yesterday. I love it. Well, in that case, let's kick this day off the right way. Appreciate y'all very much for being here. Let's sell some stinking roofs.
Hudco Roofing! Hudco Roofing! When you need a roof, call someone you know. Scone and Terrio.
All you need is Hudco.
Hudco Roofing! Hudco Roofing! Call Hudco Roofing! 364-1007!
All right. By the way, driving into New Orleans 2 days ago to go do the show down there, a lot of blue tarps still, man, all over the area. River Ridge, Luling, Laplace, Metairie, Kenner, wherever you are, if you, Tangipahoa, you, family member, friend, neighbor, whatever, you know someone who still needs help with their roof, give us a shout. We can work with your insurance company, get your claim approved. We can supplement it if need be. HUDCOroofing.com, HUDCOroofing.com. Let's see. Jackie Lack, what's up? Ken Bro, morning. I had to laugh when you introduced yourself to Coach Kelly. I think he'd heard of you. Probably not. I don't know that he's heard of me. Or maybe somebody kind of gave him a rundown of who was in the media. That was going to be maybe. Probably not though. He's probably just being cordial. I haven't met him yet. Still haven't met him. They kind of whisked him away after the presser, and I did not go to the TAF event at the Stadium Club on Wednesday night. Lawrence Corbin, who do you think would land in LSU's pod? So there was we talked about this at Media Days. I believe it was LSU, A&M, and the Mississippi schools. And then it was Bama, Auburn, Tennessee, of course, and Vanderbilt. And then Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, Kentucky. And then the new pod would be Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas. Hey, John Bro, good morning. Yeah, we started the show today talking a little bit about Tommy Moffitt not being retained. 20 years is a heck of a run in one place in college football. It just so rarely happens. We should all thank and applaud Coach Moffitt for the work that he did at LSU. I am curious, though, because I'm just curious that maybe that was a mutual thing, because there was a lot of whispers this past summer that maybe Moffitt was thinking about what would be next for him. Yeah. Joe Juba was good, man. Any concerns? Kelly's coach didn't come with him. Talked about that a little bit earlier. Someone asked. No, I don't think so. That just happens situationally. When Nick Saban came here from Michigan State, none of his assistants followed. That worked out. He went and got Jimbo and got Muschamp and Kirby and Dooley and Mel Tucker. Put together a pretty good staff. So, if you're a good coach and you know how to identify assistants, you put a staff together. I was told yesterday that Brian Kelly wants to have most, if not all, of his staff in place by this weekend, because they have got to go start just pounding road recruiting to finish off this recruiting class. Brian Fletcher, Matt, why don't the national talking heads use the narrative Brian Kelly leaving Notre Dame allowed a minority candidate to get a fair shot at a top 10 job? Don't know. I'm not in the national media, and I don't think that has much to do with Brian Kelly, honestly. Do you think not having coordinators in place prior to early signing is a big turnoff to recruit? So, John, good question. That's why I think they're trying to get the coordinators in place, like maybe even this weekend. So I don't think that's going to wait until after the bowl game. So be mindful of that. One of the reasons Marcus Freeman, Notre Dame acted so quickly with Marcus Freeman is, Brian Kelly basically held their feet to the fire. It's like, listen, if you're coming, I need an answer within 24 hours. And if not, then I need to move forward, which it sucks, but it basically Freeman had to put the pressure on Notre Dame and say, listen, am I going to be here? If not, I need to take this job. So, that's why they moved that quickly. So, otherwise they'd have been here. Let's see, Frederick, no state income tax, however, the property taxes are higher than Eagle Knots at Texas. Jeremy Causey, no disrespect, is Ryan Clark's comments about Kelly or how they didn't hire a certain coach of color. I don't think you don't think you finished the question. I'll remind, like, the people that were so up in arms about that comment, Ryan Clark said he wanted them to hire Billy Napier. That's a white guy. Like, I think most people heard part of what Ryan said, or only digested part of what he said. And I think his very blunt line about hiring a middle-aged white guy is all people heard, and then put up a wall. Because what he did say, which was fair, is Scott Woodward has to hire the best coach. I mean, you're making seven figures and you got to win, and so you hire someone that's proven and can win, which is true. Shouldn't fault him for that. And he also said there aren't many minority candidates who are as accomplished, if any, as Brian Kelly, which is true also. So the bigger issue is, I think, I mentioned this on the air too. Every year they put out that report card for minority coaching hires, and I believe like there's a key variable that's missed. It's when you actually follow the career trajectory of great coaches, they all generally get lower tier jobs first and work their way up as a proving ground. I don't think LSU is a proving ground. So, like James Franklin, for example, was OC at Maryland, was coaching waiting there, then took the Vanderbilt job, then got Penn State. Mel Tucker was he was an interim head coach in Jacksonville in the NFL. NFL DC, college DC, Bama, Georgia, head coach of Colorado, head coach of Michigan State. Works his way up. So I think that's where there's a shortcoming, if any. So anyway, Newt Douglas, what's going on? Manny Diaz, I think he'd be a good fit if he gets fired. I don't know if he's going to get fit. Joby Thomas, if the Saints lose another couple of games, do you think we see in book towards end of the season? I don't know, man. I thought, sure, why not? Kerry Hughes, what's good? Caleb, conference championship game picks. Yeah, I went through it yesterday. I picked Utah. They beat Oregon last night. I like Pitt in the ACC game. I do like Michigan, but I kind of like Iowa in the points if you're going, if you're playing the games. I like Iowa in the points, but I like Michigan to win. I think Georgia gets it done against Alabama. I probably would not play that game, however. 6.5 is a little... Nick as an underdog worries me. Nick is an underdog. You give him, raw meat to feast on, and you can't help but think, I like Oklahoma State to beat Baylor. Which one am I forgetting? Oh, Cincy and Houston. I think Cincy will win. I think they'll win and cover. I hope not, though. Am I forgetting any? I think that's it, yeah. Let's see, Ryan and Amanda Gidry, good morning. Kenneth Kyle, Zach Arnett for DC. Kenneth, they interviewed Zach Arnett last year, and they said it was just a terrible interview. Like, he was just a little off. So, I don't think that's going to happen. Kevin McKee, national pushback is real, shameful, and unwarranted. I took his speaking to basketball area fans as genuine speak in a relaxed tone. I think he elevated his voice and got stuck between words. I don't think he was trying to do a southern accent. I honestly don't. Like, sometimes when you kind of get stuck between words and you're like, if you're trying to say, well, I don't know. But sometimes when you just get stuck between words and you stumble and it kind of comes out with a kind of a weird syntax. I think that's all that was. But whatever. Chase Pellegrin Grimes for OC, that would be interesting. I don't think they're going to go that way, though. Ashton Lane, what were the pods again? So if the talk over the summer media is when the SEC expands, when Texas and OU come in, you're not going to have an East and West division. You're going to have four-team pods. So you would play a 9-game conference schedule, the 3 teams in your pod, and then 2 teams each from the other 3 pods, and they would alternate year to year. LSU's pod would be Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. Bama would be in a pod with Auburn and Tennessee, because of course, and then Vanderbilt. Georgia, Florida, Kentucky, South Carolina, and then Oklahoma, Texas, Missouri, Arkansas. That's what we talked about this summer at Media Days. Chewy Gutierrez, you picked Oklahoma State over Baylor. Why do you hate Aranda? I think both defenses are really good, actually. I think Oklahoma State's offense is just a little bit better. And they beat them earlier this year. Lisa Bahi, what's going on? Big Gray and Bozier, what's up? Got to trust the alignment. Yes. Amanda Rome, good morning from Kansas City. Derek Cropper, last son of Odin, stop listening to the national media and Notre Dame. They are all acting like hurt, toxic ex-girlfriends. T-Bob for strength coach, not going to happen. You think Tommy retires or wants to keep going? That's the thing, Rob. I kind of think Moffitt that was a lot of the talk this summer, was that Moffitt was kind of looking at what was going to be next anyway. Like he might not coach strength and conditioning in college much longer. Let's see. Jordan McNeese, what's up? Joe Ray, good morning. Championship weekend, no real dog in the fight. What's your top game for the day? Cincy, Houston, most entertaining. Most entertaining might actually end up being Georgia, Bama. I'm going to be fascinated to see if Georgia's defense can limit Bama, and if Georgia's offense with Stetson Bennett can get it done. You know, I think LSU gave a bit of a blueprint on how to handle Alabama. I think Georgia's defense is good enough. Lee Ballius, good morning. Thoughts on beating Utah, put on Oregon last night? I picked Utah. I mean, we saw it 3 weeks ago. Utah beat them. I mean, they're a better team. Oregon was not that good this year, y'all. I'm telling you, everyone got so hype on Oregon because they beat Ohio State, which was an impressive win. There's no doubt about it. But they sludged their way through. Early this season, they barely got past Fresno State. I mean, like they were on the ropes against UCLA. They just weren't. Oregon just wasn't a good team this year. They weren't. They lost to Stanford. They weren't great. They really weren't impressive. I think everybody just saw the one big win at Ohio State and never watched them again. So I'm not surprised. How about Chris Curry? Chris Curry's at Utah, got himself a Pac-12 championship. So he won an SEC championship and a Natty with LSU. Now he's won a Pac-12 championship, going to play in the Rose Bowl. Good for him. Possibility Bama will beat Georgia. I mean, it's Bama. I will never count out Nick Saban, ever. I picked Georgia, but I will never count out Nick Saban. Alex H., Arkansas fan here, love the content. However, not sold on the hire, but happy y'all in the SEC. I don't know why you wouldn't be super sold on the hire, man. Brian Kelly's been in 4 different schools and won at the highest level in all of them, man. He will win here with the resources he's got. There's no question. Can we hire RC? Not saying DC, but get my man on staff. You can tell he wants to come, at least in my eyes. He would if they asked him. I don't think he's going to. Carl Dunn. What's up, Carly Cat? Sometimes good for a change. Good luck to Coach Moffitt. 20 years at the same school. Absolutely. Chuck West. Riley's moving from the conservative SEC to the progressive West Coast. Kelly's moving north to the SEC. Explains why 2 moves are being viewed differently. I don't know that has much to do with it at all. Chuck, I really don't. I mean, I really don't think that has anything to do with it. G-Bro, lived in South Bend my whole life. Does anyone know who the last coach that left Notre Dame on his own account, if any? Well, yeah, G-Bro, because LSU's president, William Tate, referenced that in his introductory remarks. And it was some guy like 114 years ago. Let me see. And it was like 114 years ago. Had to be one of these guys. James Morrison, H.G. Haddon, Frank Herring, or James McWeeny. I mean, it would have to be one of those guys, right? Or no, maybe not. Thomas Berry, maybe him. Whatever. It did happen once at Notre Dame, but it happened like 114 years ago. Shout out to Brock Yell, as always, Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. After Hours Clinic is open today, so if you need an orthopedist, go see our friends at Brock. They are open today. You twist your ankle, you're out playing in the yard, you dislocate your shoulder, bypass the ER, go to Brock. And of course, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Let's see. Hang on one second, y'all. Drew's back next week. Man, 9:30. Dude's still sleeping. Hang on. Appreciate everybody hanging out. 355 watching there on YouTube. Please smash the like button if you haven't done so yet. Much appreciated to y'all. 179 watching on Facebook. Please like the page, share the post. Much appreciated to everybody. Migo, Tez, would they still have permanent opponents each year? Yeah, so your permanent opponents would be the ones in your pod, right? So like if those pods hold, LSU play Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Mississippi State every year. And then everybody, like, so you wouldn't have an annual game with Alabama or Auburn or anybody else. Like, it would rotate every 2 years. So you'd play every team every other year. You'd play the three in your pod every year, and every other team you'd play every other year. Levy over Long for sure. I'm with you, Jacob. I would agree, and I'll plant this little nugget for y'all as well. If LSU does get Jeff Levy from Ole Miss to be their OC, keep an eye on Dylan Gabriel. Dylan Gabriel is the quarterback from UCF. If you remember, played against LSU in that Fiesta Bowl. He's in the transfer portal, and my understanding is that Dylan Gabriel is going to follow Jeff Levy. So if it's to Ole Miss or if it's to LSU or whatever, keep an eye on that. So you may end up landing Dylan Gabriel if Levy becomes the OC. Joseph Cadib, what's going on? Levy wouldn't be here long, but I take it. I agree with you, Joseph. I mean, that may be a year or two thing. And listen, if Lane, I'll say this again, it's pretty well understood there at Ole Miss that if Lane leaves, Jeff Levy's going to be the head coach at Ole Miss. So, let's see. Zappy's 4 touchdowns from Ty and Burrow would be interesting if LSU plays Western Kentucky in a bowl. Carl Alexander, Eric M. Matt, who you got winning Aldo? Fine. You know what's interesting, man? I need to get back into, it's that time where I can start getting back into MMA. Because I tell y'all, man, whenever football starts, my MMA consumption goes to zero. Like, literally zero. Because all of the cards are always on Saturdays. And Saturdays are, every waking hour, it's a work day. So I never get to consume MMA during football season. Like, I go to zero, like literally to zero. So I have no idea what's going on. So I'll ramp up again though. Matt, Kelly may be keeping a lot of the staff. Who'd you like to see stay in Mangus or Pete? Pete's, neither. Honestly, neither. Mayhem Santana, what's up? Cortland Jacob, Bill Gallion. What's the Facebook page? Oh, it's at Matt Moscona AFR is my page. Matt Moscona AFR. Jacob Hibbard, Matt, you think Brian Kelly would go after Phil Longo, get familiarity with the SEC? Brian Kelly would be familiar playing versus UNC. Maybe. I mean, Phil Longo is certainly a name that everyone's familiar with here. It'll be interesting to see, though, if he tries to go for the more young up-and-comer, which has been sort of his MO at Notre Dame with, if it was Elko or Clark Lee or Freeman. I mean, that's been more Brian Kelly's MO, to find the young, bright defensive mind and give him that opportunity, Bill Gallion, sing the Brother Martin song. I already did that. How about because since it's Catholic High Championship Day, we get to add another ring today. How about we sing? Come on and fight, all you Bruins, and triumph on the field. Big Bruin cohorts are cheering, for the Bears will never yield. This day we're all out for victory, no matter what the cost, 'cause we'll fight forever till that last white line is crossed. I got the ring for being the play-by-play guy. Play-by-play, first Catholic Eye Championship ever, 2015. They gave me a ring. It was very, very nice of them to do that. They did not have to. But that was awesome. Great thrill to be able to call that game. Gotta win tonight. Gotta beat Gordy and the Jays. See? Brian Kelly, when you get crossed between, I was trying to say Gordy and the Jays, gotta be Gordy and the Jays, and I said Jordy. See? Like Brian Kelly saying family. I think he just got caught between words. Clayton, I wonder if all the players with injuries was viewed as conditioning problem, and that's why Tommy was let go. No, I don't think so. I think that was a fan narrative. For example, how is Miles Brennan falling down on a fishing trip, breaking his arm, a strength and conditioning issue? How is Kayshon Boutte breaking his ankle on a sideline catch against Kentucky a strength and conditioning issue? You see what I mean? I mean, it's football. Injuries happen. If it was a lot of soft tissue stuff, like pulled hamstrings and stuff, you could maybe make that case, but never snake bit. It's the same as, I mean, it was the same as Saints this year. Let's see. Sam Spiegelman said 2 names to watch: Pete Golding for DC, Cortez Hankton from Georgia. So yes, Cortez Hankton from Georgia is a name I've heard, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he's from New Orleans. Yeah, so born in New Orleans, yes. So Cortez Hankton is a name I've heard. He played at Texas Southern. I didn't know all that, but so he went to St. Aug. So player, coach, Dartmouth, Vanderbilt, and then Georgia. Yeah, so Cortez Hankton is a name I've heard for wide receiver coach. And the others that I already told y'all were Levy, Kendall Browse, and Chip Long, Tulane. Let's see. D1 Claude, we don't want Dylan Gabriel. Okay, QB, but has off-the-field problems. Whatever. I'm just telling you. The experienced quarterback, and you're going to need one because I think you're going to lose one of the guys currently on campus. I find the song offensive to Baptist. Which one? Did I miss a bunch of comments? I kind of did. Oh, I did. I did miss a bunch of comments. Sorry. God dog it, I did. I'm sorry. It scrolled all the way to the bottom. Okay. Let's see. Sean Patrick just switched to live after being 15 minutes behind, and no one seems to understand that when Notre Dame hired from within, every assistant bumps up a level. That's kind of part of it. But a lot just stay in their own role. Bama versus Vanderbilt will suck. Yeah, but everybody gets. I mean, then LSU gets the Mississippi schools every year instead of Bama, Auburn, Florida. I mean, you think the OU Texas coming to the SEC will move up? You mean will happen sooner than 2025? I don't. Who's Oklahoma going to hire? Not sure. Not T-Bob, but T-Bow for the strength coach. Father John Dave Mathering, morning. Has LSU ever had what seems to be the best combo of big three sports coaches at one time? Wade, Kelly, and what we think Jay Johnson will be. Looks awesome. Well, you did have Nick Saban, Skip Bertman, and John Brady. John Brady went to a Final Four. Any thoughts on LSU rebuilding the offensive line through transfers? Absolutely, Sean. I mean, that's the two spots primarily that LSU has got to go address in the transfer portal are offensive line and linebacker. That's not even debatable. And y'all, I'm going to tell y'all, keep something else in mind. Like, with all the injuries LSU had, as thin as they have been on numbers, and with Ogeron out, like, how many guys are even going to be available for a bowl game? Like, think about this logically, okay? You are already, like, you started this season under 85. And all the injuries they've had, the season-ending injuries, Stingley, Riggs, Butte, Major Burns, I mean, all the guys, right? If you have opt-outs, and some guys who, this is about the time of year where you find out about, like, guys that might be academically ineligible, sort of things like that. And if they didn't make grades this semester, how many guys else are going to have to play in a bowl game? I don't know, man. Chase Pellegrin, you hear in a certain bowl game for LSU. I mean, Texas and Birmingham seem to be the most commonly talked about. But I'm telling y'all, that's a story we're not talking about yet, but may become a thing, is LSU's numbers for the bowl game. I heard Moffitt decided to leave, invest all savings in Gamecoin, and hit the beach. Smart guy. Greg Overall, Dane Bergeron, Chase Pellegrin, what's up? I don't want the Brother Martin fight song again. Chance Babin, the coach, left in 1907. Okay, that's who they were talking about. Ryan Dixon, rumors Hudco recruited Moffitt away from LSU. They're looking for a strength and conditioning coach. You got to train these guys. I mean, they got to carry those big, the different squares of shingles up ladders. It is amazing when those guys do it. They'll throw it over their shoulder, right? And they will just go up the ladder with like squares of shingles over their shoulders. Crazy. How about a Saturday night baseball edition of Whiskey and Wine? It's an Omaha year. Frederick, I don't know that you want T-Bob on a baseball Whiskey and Wine. Like, he's just not going to be able to provide much insight. I love the guy, but come on. Get the OC from Utah. Who's Brian Kelly going to hire for D.C.? Not sure yet. Any chance Durante Jones stays? There's some thought that he may get a look. I would not. If you're Brian Kelly, you have too much invested. Go hire the best, you know. Let's see, story about assistants having to shovel Brian Kelly's driveway is BS. It's interesting, Stephen, because both Matt LaFleur and Robert Saleh have both over time clarified that story, but it's funny how things pop up like that, huh? I mean, then there's the story about when Nick Saban was with the Dolphins about how a player was convulsing on the floor and Saban just stepped over him, right? I mean, who knows? Who knows what to believe? There's probably some degree of truth in everything as far as whether coaches are loved or hated by players, and you could probably, it's kind of like a teacher in school, right? You ask 100 different students and you might get, and if you could find the extreme outliers, if any, ones that loved or hated that teacher or that coach or whatever. So the fact of the matter is, when you've been a coach for as long as Kelly has, 4 different stops and 1 everywhere, there's a notable degree of certainty with him, right? Blake West Shin. Ewers is going back to Texas, transfers NIL deal. Shelby Kelly, what's the word on Emery? Not eligible. Rhett Cruthers, Matt, you look concerned the absence of single assistant hires so far. Nope. Shelby Dane, T-Bob for entertainment purposes only. Won't be many years, so we're congratulating women's basketball for winning a national championship. I agree with that. That's why Kim Mulkey's here. Glenn Garner, who wins? Georgia, Bama, and the Natty. Boy, I don't want to see that again. I'll take Georgia. How poignant would it be for Georgia, Bama to play a close, wind up in OT, Kirby pulls Bennett for JT Daniels? That's the same situation that happened with Bama, with Tua in the championship game. That's what he's talking about. Merritt Mathern, going to miss not having whiskey and wine tonight. Need to find another excuse to drink tonight. Jason Mabia, one thing I liked about Kelly's presser, he talked about the process, reminded me a lot of Saban. My question is about the +7. How far back can LSU go to count transfers toward the 7? So my understanding, Cortland, is that it's I asked Shay Dixon that question, and his understanding was that it was after the 25. So 25, and then you can count 7 more transfers. And if you're asking like how far back, like, as long as it's in this cycle. So like if someone transferred during the season, like Miles Brennan entered the portal, you can. That's a 1-for-1. Yes. Tyrann Matthews is going to be LSU's coach when he retires from the NFL. Who is LSU's best dunker of all time? Shaq, Jabari, Tyrus, Glover Jackson against McNeese. Everyone always talks about Howard Carter too, or Dwayne Scales back in the day. I didn't get to see those guys play, but those are the ones you talk about. Polaris88, not an LSU fan, but find your shows entertaining. Thank you, Polaris88. Appreciate that greatly. Jeb Whitley, Matt, did we get a member of the Notre Dame strength staff? Not the head guy, but an assistant. Nope. They all stayed. Jeb Whitlow, great entry point in GameCoin and lots of crypto, by the way. No doubt. I mean, the whole crypto market is down right now. So people typically treat it in reverse. They buy they FOMO in as it's rising, and they panic sell as it's dipping. It should be the opposite. You should sell when you sell the top and you buy the dip. But that's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I can tell you that I am pumped about GameCoin. We had an incredible board call yesterday, and Monday they are going to announce the development team, the company we're using to develop the GameCoin platform. It's all moving forward, man. I understand why people, when you saw the price dip, a lot of people freaked out, but that's, I get it. A lot of newbies into crypto aren't used to volatility. It was probably the first foray into crypto, but no one is deterred. I mean, the project's moving forward. It's and it's phenomenal. I mean, the inbound interest every day from ambassador athletes and people in crypto spaces is incredible. Let's see. How did Catholic High not win state championship with work done on Travis Minor? It's funny, David, is that they lost to public schools, but it's the private schools that recruit and cheat, right? Shoot, man, the Travis Minor team in 1996 is the one that everyone always remembers because it was Travis as a running back, Major Applewhite was a quarterback. Hey, babe. And Greg Brown, who went to Texas, was both a cornerback and a receiver. Kendrick Shanklin was a defensive back and a backup running back who went to Kentucky. Aaron Boone, the backup running back to Travis Minor, went to Clemson. Clay Bostic was a defensive end on that team and went to Tennessee. Court Merricks was a center who went to LSU. Randy Richard was a left tackle, went to Louisiana Tech, became all-conference there. Julius Bessix was a linebacker that went to Grambling. I mean, that team was loaded up. Brian Williams went to Air Force. They were loaded. I mean, and they went up to West Monroe in the semis, and nobody could tackle Tommy Banks. Let's see. 21-14 was that final. Travis Minor returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown, 7-0. And they didn't score again until I think the first play of the fourth quarter. Travis ripped off a long run. Pendarvis was on that team, of course, was tight end who played at LSU, signed with LSU. How about Jim Leonard? That's my choice. Why would the Brother Martin song be offensive to Baptists? Gonna fight for our alma mater, for Brother Martin, crimson and gold. Gonna shout to the skies, raise and do. We're gonna win over foes untold. Crimson Crusaders are our heroes. They are the men who never say die. While the whole gang is here, let's send them cheer. Brother Martin, hi. It used to be Aloysius. Hi, by the way. Brother Martin adopted the Aloysius fight song. And the mascot. My dad was at Aloysius for 2 years, and Brother Martin for 2. Let's see, a couple more here. As always, y'all, Hudco Roofing, appreciate everybody who's watching. 381 hanging out on YouTube, 153 hanging out on Facebook. You, a family member, anyone you know had damage due to Ida, you need someone to come check out your roof, commercial or residential, give us a shout. HudcoRoofing.com, HudcoRoofing.com, HudcoRoofing.com. We have materials, we have crews, we're jamming right now. We can get to you very likely even before Christmas, so get us a call now. Or website, HudcoRoofing.com, HudcoRoofing.com. Loud SEC chants broke out on the Riley interview on game day. That's funny. Palermo, Trapani, Trey Day. Sure, they have some Baptist high school fight songs that were jokingly poking at Catholics. What is joking about Baptist? Anyway, whatever. Let's see. Between Nuss, Johnson, and Howard, they can't all play. I'm sure we'll lose at least one. I agree. I think one of those. I think either Johnson or Nussmeyer. I think both are here for the spring, but I think one of them does leave. And I do think that they hit the transfer portal. We don't whiskey and wine for baseball. We got companion shows. Bring back Coug. I don't think we can do companion shows. I need some clarification, but maybe I can do a companion show on my own personal page. But I know the reason T-Bob didn't do his companion show thing this year for football was when Guarantee wrote did its contract with the LSU Sports Radio Network. That was something LSU wanted in there, was that couldn't do shows that competed with the live broadcast. Danny Braywick, what's up? Let's see. John Sauls, Mullen, OC. A lot of fans have asked. Haven't heard the name mentioned by anyone around LSU. I've given you the names I've heard. Does Rosenthal count toward the 7? Good question. Because that was before the season. I would think so. I think it would count in this class, yes. Does LSU get Kelly if Tank Bigsby stayed in bounds against Bama? Bama was already out. Good question. Good question. Let's see. I'm trying to put Leonard's name in the universe. Maybe it might come true. I'm with you on that one. I mean, that would be my choice. I mean, that's a name that's mentioned in all these searches. T-Bot for O-line coach. What does everyone think of Oregon's duck egg jerseys? Oh God, Oregon with their uniforms. Will LSU all whites be used more often in the future? Hope not. Brandon Taylor for DC. Any chance Kelly talks Brennan to convince come back? I don't think so, Sean. I think Brennan's going to go somewhere where he knows he can start for 1 year. What are the rules for sitting on what's transferring in the portal? They still have to sit out a year unless graduated. Nope. One-time transfer is allowed, remember? You can transfer and be immediate. Any player can transfer, be immediately eligible now one time. Okay, guys, I think we're done. Thanks so much for watching it all, as always. Jared LeBlanc, the Hudco jingle is terrible. Again, Jared, it's a jingle. It's not Beethoven. It's not Mozart. It's not Tchaikovsky. It's not John Lennon. Imagine. It's a roofing company jingle. And to everyone talking about the all whites, Mark Britton. I like the all whites. Mark, I'll do this one time. This is the last time I'm doing it. It won't be because people ask about it all the time. In a vacuum, the all-white uniforms looked okay. In a vacuum, right? If I knew nothing about LSU football ever, I showed up one day and I watched a football game and said, what do you think of this team's uniforms on this day? I'd say, yeah, that's a pretty clean look. The problem is LSU has an historic look. Gold, white, gold is clean, looks awesome, and it is LSU. That is their look. You're not Oregon. You're not Oklahoma State or Texas Tech. You're not a team with no tradition that runs out 15 different uniforms because you can, because it doesn't really matter. You have tradition. You have a look, and the look you have is phenomenal. So use that. That's my point. Okay. All right, I think we're done. Bo Brown, haven't talked about GameCoin in a minute. Not as big a jump maybe expected once they went public. So, Bo, you got like you can't think of it in terms of a stock as far as like going public. It's been public. Anybody can buy it. It's on public exchanges. So, and it did pump. It did pump after it went to Bitmart. Pumped up to 2 pennies, and then people sold. But look, man, the thing about it, Bo, is I've said this all along. You can obsess over the price of it. The reality is, what attracted me from the beginning is the utility of what the GameCoin platform will be, and ultimately the success of that platform is what will carry the price of the token. So, I get it. Just people are new into crypto who don't understand, but that's okay. That's why I'd always encourage you, like, do your research, learn, like, go read the white paper, see what it's going to be with the like. That's the point. But anyway, all right. Let's see. I think we're done. Bring back the purple pants. You're fired, Dane. You're fired. Michael Murray, don't listen to Matt's uniform takes. He hates the Saints All Blacks. They're not objectively incredible. They look like an awful softball uniform. That's objective fact. The All Black uniforms look like a softball league. Stop it. Okay, we're done. Y'all have a good day. Peace.